Have you ever noticed how one negative person can change the energy of an entire room? What if I told you that the people around you can either fuel your peace or quietly destroy it? And what if, in your later years, your greatest act of self-care is knowing who not to let into your inner circle? As we grow older, we begin to see life and people with a new kind of clarity. We start to recognize which relationships bring peace and which ones quietly wear us down. There's one kind of person you absolutely must protect yourself from. In your later years, the chronically negative. The negative Nancy. You know the type, the person who always sees the glass as half empty, no matter how beautiful the day or promising the moment. You could be sharing a joyful story, an exciting plan, or a hard-earned achievement, and they'll be the first to ask. But what if it goes wrong? They don't celebrate with you. They calculate risks. They don't uplift. They unload. Their presence drains the joy from the room, and, over time, from your spirit. Now, don't misunderstand me. We all go through seasons of doubt. We all face loss, change, and fear, especially as we age. But there's a difference between being honest about life's hardships and becoming consumed by negativity. The latter isn't just unhelpful, it's toxic. In your later years, you deserve companionship that strengthens your heart, not dims your light. You need people who remind you of the beauty that still exists, even when life feels heavy. People who help you see possibilities when your mind drifts to worry. People who lift you up, not pull you under. You see, negativity doesn't stay in one place. It spreads. And the more you allow it into your life, the easier it becomes to absorb. You may start to question your worth, your dreams, your decisions. Before long, you're not living. You're hesitating, shrinking, doubting. That is not the life you were meant to live. You weren't born to simply endure. You were meant to thrive, to laugh, to love deeply, to keep discovering joy in the ordinary. That's why it's absolutely essential to create distance from those who constantly bring you down. These individuals are masters at stealing joy. They can take a beautiful day and fill it with fear. They'll tell you why your plans won't work, why the worst will happen, and why it's safer not to try at all. But what if you chose differently? What if, instead of letting their pessimism guide your path, you leaned into hope? What if you surrounded yourself with people who believe in growth, in healing, in new beginnings? No matter your age, the choice is yours. You still have the power to decide who has access to your peace, your energy, your days. And in this chapter of life, that power might be the most valuable thing you possess. And that's only the first type. Because, as you continue this journey, there are even more kinds of people you'll need to watch for, people whose presence might be costing you more than you realize. The kind of people who lift you up and those who tear you down. After all, in the years when your peace is most sacred, you deserve to be surrounded by people who pour light into your life, not shadows. You deserve to be around people who make you feel hopeful. Again, people who remind you of the best parts of yourself and help you see the beauty that still exists in the world around you. The kind of people who, even in hard times, gently remind you there's always something to be grateful for. They're the ones who help you notice the sunlight breaking through the curtains, the laughter tucked into a quiet moment, the small, quiet victories that most people overlook. These people keep your head high when the world feels heavy. They lift your spirit when your strength wavers. They help you carry the emotional weight of life without adding more to it. Because here's the truth. The final years of your life are not meant to be weighed down. They're meant to be honored. These are sacred years, filled with reflection, meaning, and the chance to live more freely than ever before. Don't waste that time entertaining voices that drag you down. Surround yourself with people who speak light, who inspire joy, who help you hold on to hope. Let go of the voices that fill your space with criticism, fear, or bitterness. You only get so much time, why give any of it away to darkness? that doesn't belong in your life. And never forget, the power is in your hands. You get to decide who walks with you. You get to decide whose energy enters your space and stays. And in doing so, you protect your peace not out of selfishness, but out of wisdom. So choose wisely. Choose connection over conflict. Choose encouragement over erosion. Choose peace. And now let's talk about another kind of person to avoid as you get older: the gossiper. Yes, we all have a natural curiosity. We wonder what others are doing, how they're living, what's going on behind the scenes. But there's a thin, dangerous line between curiosity and gossip, and once crossed, it becomes deeply harmful. Gossip is toxic. It poisons relationships. It distorts the truth. Gossips don't seek connection, they seek entertainment. They thrive on drama like it's food. Like vultures, they circle every situation, waiting for someone to stumble just so they can swoop in and spread the story. And when you're older with fewer days ahead than behind, you have to ask yourself, why would you waste even a minute with people like that? Your time is too precious to be spent tearing others down. You've been through too much to tolerate conversations that breed distrust and tension. When someone gossips, they pull you in, even if you don't want to be part of it. And the damage doesn't stop when the words do. You leave those conversations feeling smaller, dirtier, unsettled. Gossip leaves a residue, a kind of energy that clings to you long after the story is told. So if someone's always whispering about others, be careful. If they speak badly about everyone else to you, eventually, they'll speak badly about you to someone else. And that brings us to another kind of influence. You must protect your peace from someone whose presence might feel subtle but whose impact can quietly erode your sense of self. Why gossip has no place in your peaceful years. We just explored how gossip, while often disguised as curiosity, quietly poisons connection and pulls us away from the peace we've worked so hard to build. Let's be honest, gossip doesn't lift anyone up. It doesn't strengthen community. It doesn't build trust, deepen respect, or bring people closer together. What it does is divide. It creates cracks in relationships that may never fully heal. It takes one vulnerable moment, an honest mistake, a private thought spoken aloud, and turns it into ammunition. Gossip feeds on other people's weakness, and worse, it feeds you lies disguised as truth. It distorts your view of others and slowly, subtly distorts your view of yourself. So the real question becomes, why would you let that kind of energy into your life? Especially in this stage of life, when peace is not just something you want, but something you've earned. You've walked through enough seasons to know that life won't always be easy. But now, more than ever, you deserve to live in peace with others and with yourself. And peace doesn't come from knowing all the latest details or weighing in on everyone's private struggles. It comes from focusing your heart and mind on what's true, what's good, and what builds others up, not tears them down. When you distance yourself from gossip, something beautiful happens. You make space for better conversations. Conversations that uplift, that inspire, that remind you of who you are and who you're still becoming. You start talking about things that matter, wisdom gained, love, shared growth, made, and victories won, even the smallest ones. And suddenly, your words carry light instead of weight. They heal instead of harm. Sure, gossip can be tempting. It might seem like harmless chatter at first, a whispered, "Did you hear?" here and there. But before you realize it, that habit becomes a lifestyle, a pattern, a thread of negativity that starts to unravel relationships, trust, and joy. And in these later years, the last thing you want is to look back and see a trail of broken connections left behind by careless words. You want to leave a legacy of kindness, unity, and dignity, not bitterness and disconnection. So take a good look around. Pay attention to the relationships in your life. Do they bring out the best in you? Do they call you to higher ground? Or do they drag you into conflict, drama, and division? If it's the latter, then maybe it's time to step back. To protect your peace. Because you deserve better. You deserve more. And here's the empowering truth. You can't control what others say or do, but you can absolutely control what you participate in. You can say no. You can excuse yourself. You can walk away. You can decide that your peace, your clarity, and your joy are far too valuable to sacrifice for a moment of empty conversation. Now, let's move on to another energy drainer, someone whose attitude doesn't just affect your present, but keeps pulling you back to the past. Avoiding the gossiper and guarding against the user. Once you've recognized how gossip poisons peace, the next step is learning to protect your energy not just from words, but from people whose presence quietly drains your strength. The older you get, the more clearly you begin to understand your energy is sacred. It's not limitless. It's not something you can afford to give away carelessly. Every conversation, every relationship, every exchange of attention should nourish your spirit, not deplete it. That's why when gossip starts swirling around you, the wisest thing you can do is quietly step away. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to argue or judge. Just excuse yourself, protect your peace, and walk in a different direction. Choose instead to surround yourself with people who build you up, people who want to see you grow, people who speak life, not drama. Because gossip is just noise, loud, hollow, and meaningless. It doesn't heal, it doesn't help, it adds no value. And at this stage in life, you no longer have time to waste on anything that drains your joy without giving anything in return. So stay away from the gossiper. Guard your peace like a treasure. Let every conversation you have be one that reflects truth, love, and respect. And speaking of protecting your energy, there's another type of person to be careful with in your later years: the user. This person is easy to spot once you know what to look for. They don't show up to share life with you. They show up to take. Not because they care, not because they're present for the journey, but because they see you as a source of something. They want your time, your money, your kindness, your attention. They take and take and take, until there's nothing left. And that's a heartbreaking reality, because you've worked hard. You've built a life of meaning, of wisdom, of stories worth sharing. You've weathered storms and come through stronger. And the people you allow close now should honor that, not exploit it. Let's be honest, we all need help sometimes. We all go through seasons where we lean on others for support. That's human. That's love. But that's not what we're talking about here. A user doesn't know how to give. They only reach out when they want something. They don't check in unless they need something. They don't ask how you're doing unless they're working their way up to a request. And slowly that pattern begins to wear on you. You start to feel used. Emotionally, mentally, even spiritually. You notice that the relationship is always one-sided, and worse, you start to question your own value. Am I only helpful when I give? Is this the only reason they call? That's not the kind of relationship you need, especially now. In these years, your time is more precious than ever. Your energy more limited. Your emotional reserves more sacred. You simply cannot afford to keep investing in people who only drain and never pour back in. You need to protect your emotional health. That means drawing boundaries. That means choosing who gets access to your life. That means saying no, not with anger, but with wisdom. Because you've earned peace. You've earned rest. And you deserve relationships that reflect that. But there's another type of person to watch for. Their presence may seem friendly on the surface, but their intentions leave you constantly questioning your worth. Let go of the user, and beware the dream killers. After you've drawn boundaries with those who only take without giving, you begin to see the value of real mutual connection, the kind that fills you instead of depleting you. It's important to understand this. Just because someone asks for help doesn't make them a user. There are kind, genuine people who simply need support and deeply appreciate the love they receive. But you can feel the difference, can't you? You can sense it in how they treat you, how they speak to you, how they show gratitude. A user will never offer anything in return. They won't ask how you're feeling or if there's anything you need. They don't check in unless they need something from you. They're too caught up in their own world to care about yours. And that's where your power comes in. You have the right to say no. You have the right to set boundaries to protect your emotional space. You have the right to expect care and compassion in your relationships, especially now. You've earned the right to be surrounded by people who see your worth, not just your usefulness. Real relationships are rooted in mutual respect, shared effort, and emotional generosity. It's about being there for each other, not just during easy times, but through every up and down. When you find people like that, the ones who pour into your life just as much as they receive from it, hold on to them. They are rare. They are priceless. And they will make your life feel lighter, richer, more joyful. You'll notice the difference. You'll stop feeling drained. You'll start feeling connected, uplifted, seen. You won't be pouring from an empty cup anymore. Instead, you'll be replenished by the kindness and love you receive in return. So yes, walk away from the user. Recognize the signs. Guard your time, your energy, and your heart. And know this, there are people who will love you and respect you just for who you are. No conditions. No strings attached. And speaking of people to avoid, there's another group that can be even more damaging. The dream killers. These are the people who just can't handle your aspirations. They're quick to say, "It's too late," or "You're too old," or "Why even try?" They don't just lack vision. They try to crush yours. Yes, life gets harder with age. There are more responsibilities, more limitations, more reasons to hesitate. But that doesn't mean your dreams are any less valid. In fact, in many ways, your dreams matter even more now. They give you energy. They give you purpose. They give you a reason to keep reaching for something that lights up your heart. But dream killers don't want that for you. Maybe it's jealousy. Maybe it's fear. Maybe they've given up on their own dreams and can't stand to see someone else still trying. They'll tell you to be realistic, to act your age, to stop chasing something they don't understand. And the danger is, if you listen to them, their doubt can become your doubt. You'll start second-guessing yourself. You'll begin to wonder if it's really worth it. You might even stop trying. But, let me ask you, who says it's too late? Who gets to decide what you're capable of? The truth is only you do. As you age, you gain wisdom. You gain experience. You gain the clarity that comes from having lived through storms and seasons. That insight makes you more prepared than ever to pursue something meaningful. It's never too late to start again, to try something new, to chase a dream that's been sitting quietly in your heart for years. Think of all the people who achieved greatness later in life. People who started new careers, picked up new passions, made a difference well past the age society said they should have stopped. You're no different. Your dream is still alive. Your story is still being written. Don't let the dream killers write the ending. Hold your dream close. Protect it. Nurture it. And surround yourself with people who believe in your potential, who cheer for your goals, who remind you that as long as you have breath in your lungs, you still have purpose. Because this isn't about defying reality, it's about embracing possibility. It's about honoring the fire inside you that refuses to go out. So, no matter your age, keep dreaming, keep going, keep choosing hope. And finally, there's one last person to watch, for someone whose attitude might seem harmless, but slowly steals your joy and stifles your potential. Say goodbye to flattery, and hello to the truth. Once you've silenced the dream killers and reclaimed your right to dream. Boldly, there's one final figure to watch for someone who seems sweet on the surface, but whose words conceal something deeper. Let go of the people who try to shrink your world, those who tell you it's time to stop dreaming, to settle, to play small. Because the truth is, as long as your heart is still beating, it's still time to dream. And while you're protecting your purpose, there's one more person to avoid in your later years: the toxic flatterer. This person doesn't show up with honesty or intention. They show up with charm compliments laced with motive. They say all the right things, make you feel appreciated, even admired. But it's not about you. It's about what they want from you. They're not fans of your soul. They're fans of your resources, your influence, your generosity. In our youth, flattery is easy to fall for. Everyone wants to be seen, to be told they matter. And there's nothing wrong with genuine praise. But with time comes discernment. You begin to notice the difference between kind words from the heart and manipulative words with a hook. A toxic flatterer doesn't challenge you. They don't care about your growth. They won't lovingly speak truth when you're headed the wrong way. They'll just smile, nod, and keep you comfortable in your complacency, because as long as you stay unaware, they stay in control. And the danger? It's subtle. You won't always see it at first. But over time, their empty praise keeps you stuck. You begin to question less. You grow slower. You settle for surface-level connection because it feels good, even if it isn't real. But this stage of life is too precious for falsehood. You don't need people who keep you entertained. You need people who keep you grounded. People who love you enough to be honest, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable. Because truth is what sets you free. Truth is what helps you grow. It sharpens your wisdom. It saves you from mistakes. And it gives you clarity. Real relationships are built on truth, on mutual respect, on love that goes deeper than charm. And in your later years, there's no room left for superficiality. You deserve people who will speak into your life with care, who will challenge you when needed, who will celebrate your wins but also remind you of your worth even when you stumble. That's what real friendship looks like. So be cautious, be watchful. If someone is always praising you but never questioning you, take a closer look. If their compliments feel too perfect, too polished, too frequent, it might not be love. It might be strategy. And at this stage, your peace, your clarity, your truth, they matter too much to trade for comfort. So choose people who are honest. Choose those who speak truth in love. Choose relationships rooted in real connection, not flattery, not fantasy, but the kind of honesty that helps you keep growing. Because, in the end, growth is the greatest gift you can give yourself, no matter your age. And now, as we close this journey, it's time to reflect on the kind of life you want to build. One filled with clarity, connection, and courage in every conversation and relationship.